Good evening, folks, or morning, or day, wherever you are. I don't know, afternoon. Here we are with another Saturday Night Live Zoom. And we have a very special guest again here, Kelly, who we had the pleasure of meeting here in Toronto. They came to visit us last summer. It was a great pleasure. Spent a few hours chatting. And, she was preparing to do her master fast. She was planning it all out, and lo and behold, her plan came to be.
Imagine that.
So, how are you doing, Kelly?
Good to be here. Good to see you again.
Nice.
We did have quite a talk when I visited. I want to say 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it was a few hours. Time
and I got to see Rana, had a colonic.
Yeah, it was great. A pleasure.
So, I know we've discussed a lot and stuff, but I think your story is a huge inspiration. How much work you have done over the years, cleaning up your diet and so on and so forth, and you've come a long way. And you're just another one of those that can show everything's possible once you set your intentions and emotions and have a goal in place. And lo and behold, it works its way out and starts unfolding when you start doing things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe you want to give us a little bit about background, a little bit how you grew up and stuff, and what led you into changing your lifestyle and so on and so forth, because it's a pretty awesome story.
Okay. Well, I was born in the Midwest, so Indiana girl, farm country. I was low birth weight, so I was like 5 pounds 10 ounces. My mom smoked while she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
So yeah, and she was also on Valium starting from the age 19. So I'm pretty sure that she was pregnant, on Valium while she was pregnant with me as well. So when I was born, I looked at my eyes were real squinty. I'm not sure if I was withdrawing, but the pictures that I saw, I didn't look very good. And so I was the only baby that actually did live. She had 3 miscarriages throughout her, life. It's actually amazing that I did make it, considering that she was smoking and, on pharmaceutical drugs and not eating very well at all. And then after I was born, I know that she didn't breastfeed me. I was on formula, and it was milk-based, I believe. And so my aunt said that because she came over, I was just crying, constantly screaming, 24/7 for I don't know how many days, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they took me to the doctor. I don't think it was an emergency room, but he determined that it was the milk, that it had ripped the lining out of my stomach. I think they said I was bleeding. I don't know. So they switched the formula. Back in the 70s, I think it was soy-based. They switched it from the milk-based to soy, I believe. And from there, I don't know. And then moving on to childhood, I grew up eating lots of meat and potatoes and anything processed. So everything processed. So for breakfast, I would eat, cereal, but I couldn't have the milk with it, so I can't remember what we used back then. Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, waffles.
Good stuff.
Yeah. For lunch, we had a lot of white bread and lunch meat, hot dogs, Spam in a can. Oh my gosh.
I've had all that stuff.
Ugh, just thinking about it makes me want to. But chips, hostess snacks, macaroni and cheese, that Kraft in a box, of course, sodas, Kool-Aid. Remember that the packets? I think we just, yeah.
The blue one.
Well, there was red, orange, whatever.
Yeah, there's all colors.
Yeah. Tang. I drank a lot of Tang.
Oh, yeah.
And lots of fast food. So, I mean, I remember pictures. I have pictures of me at McDonald's for my birthday, and a lot of pizza. And if I had fruit, which was very rare, it was in a can with all that corn syrup. Vegetables, no fresh vegetables. Those were in a can as well. And so my childhood, as you could probably guess, was I was pretty young. I developed a severe case of pneumonia. So I do remember I was in bed and my mom was in tears, and I was laying on my side and she had her hand cupped and was just pounding on my chest because I was so congested. No surprise. So my issues started young, just pretty much out of the womb. Trying to think. Well, then I can go into, my mom ate terrible as well. And then along with not eating well, she was in, unhealthy foods. She was in unhealthy relationships as well. So her and my father, it was a very volatile relationship. When he was home, he was extremely violent. I remember not a whole lot, but when he was home, I had to. The last thing that I do remember is that he was. They were in a really violent fight, and I must have been probably 5. Well, actually big enough to be at knee height. So no, probably younger than that. But they were arguing, fighting, furniture being piled up, and I ran into my playroom and grabbed a little bat, and I went running right in between them, and I hit him in the knee with the bat, and I said, "You leave my mommy alone." So from that point forward, I felt a responsibility to take care of my mom at such a young age. That was, and lucky for me, he just looked at me in shock, and just kind of tossed her back in my room and left. But from there on, I felt, actually that OCD also I developed at a young age as well, due to not being able to control my environment. So when I went to sleep at night, I would have to have everything in place. Like all my toys had to have a particular place because I couldn't control my environment around me. Like outside of my room, I felt the need to control inside of my room. So after that, I can't remember if I think I was 7 or 8, they divorced. And my dad remarried, and my mom remarried someone much younger than her, and as he did as well. And that also was even more volatile. So it wasn't a good situation for a child to be in. Holes in walls, a sense of helplessness. I couldn't get out. And when I did try, I wasn't allowed to get out. So there were lots of holes in walls. I would try to, reach. Back then they had those phones, the dial phone. So I would try to call out, and he would, tear the phone out of the wall. So it wasn't a good situation.
Were you the only child?
Yeah, because she wasn't able to have. It's a miracle that I made it. I came for a reason.
That's
you
for
know, all of this, you know, even what I'm telling you, you know. So I'm trying to think. Okay, so they were together. We ended up moving to North Carolina. He got a job in the military, in the Marines. So we moved there on base for I think a year and a half or a couple years. Well, I just found out not too long ago that on that military base there was a what's it called? Water contamination. Really serious water contamination when we were living there. Dry cleaning solvents, everybody was drinking it, bathing in it. People were, actually there's lawsuits. You can file something, you know, to claim, you know, because people are developing serious cancers, all kinds of neurological problems, miscarriages. And that's the time that we lived there. So I'm sure that we were most likely affected. So while they were there, we were living there, it seemed to get worse and worse and worse. I witnessed him assaulting her sexually, strangling. It got really bad. So it's kind of funny that it's the same story. I can't remember what age I was. I want to say 5th grade, around then. Mm-hmm. We were in the kitchen, and I had had enough. So they were in another fight, and I got in the middle of them, just like I did with my father, and I had a pan this time. And I said, you know, leave her alone. Here I am repeating the same situation. He throws her down, and he leaves. I think this was a turning point for my mom as well. She realized that, you know, I'm old enough. She needs to, you know, do something. So we eventually, there was also another situation where I think this was before that she tried to take her own life. And I also witnessed that as well. So yeah, it was pretty rough. Wow. Going over all this is just like, wow. So we were able to flee while he was at work. We just loaded up the car, and I could just take whatever I could fit in the car. So in a sense, you know, you're young and you feel like, wow, I am literally losing everything. I am losing everything. But there's one thing that I wanted to take with me, and I refused not to leave without, and that was my cat. So we took the cat with us. We fled. We moved in with my grandparents. So that was my mother's parents, and lived there for a while. That was probably 5th and 6th grade. A lot had happened. I felt very uncomfortable. I just didn't feel like I fit in. I had such a different story. You know, I would look and see, you know, my friends with their families, and I felt different, you know, because of what I experienced. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't realize is these are just experiences. This isn't me, you know. But back then, you know, I couldn't disassociate with that. You know, I had it molded me in a sense. So we were at my grandparents', and we were living upstairs in the bedroom, sharing a bedroom with my uncle living across the way. Both were addicts in a sense. My mom was a prescription addict. He had issues as well. I didn't enjoy being there. So my aunt, my mom's youngest sister, I ended up moving in with her, and it was probably my first sense of normalcy, like a family. So that was very nice. After that, well, it was around probably, it was age 15. My friends and I, that's when I discovered alcohol. So of course, I took to alcohol because it numbed, the feelings, the memories. It made me feel relaxed, comfortable in my own skin. So yeah, I definitely gravitated to that. It was, I think I was around 16, we moved to Florida. My mom got a job in hotel management. So she was manager of a hotel down in North Florida. So we moved down there. I was around 15, 16. Yeah, I think that's right. So I don't know quite how she managed doing her job, functioning, but I guess the addiction, because the addiction didn't get quite, it takes time to build up. So she became a workaholic as well. She was just constantly 24/7, it seemed like just involved in work.
It's another form of numbing, another drug, right? People workaholics.
Yes, been there too.
Yeah.
So she was working nonstop, not home a lot. And here, I'm in high school, pretty much on my own. I was doing the grocery shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry. Didn't see her a whole lot. And when I did, there were times where when it started getting worse, because she was on, oh my gosh, I don't know how many prescription drugs, tons of pharmacy. So there was a time I remember I was in, I can't remember what grade it would be, maybe 10th or 11th grade. I woke up that morning and noticed that she wasn't up getting ready for work. And I went in there and she was just comatose. I couldn't wake her up. I'm, shaking her. Mom, wake up, wake up. Yeah, she finally came to. But so there was a lot of stress, even in my teen years, in high school as well. She ate terribly. She would just drink Diet Coke, sodas, coffee, and Hostess, and wouldn't eat anything else. So it kind of left me. I didn't know what to do, so I did what I knew. The only thing I knew. So I just prepared all the processed foods and everything else. So that continued. She eventually went into a drug rehab, and I went to stay with my aunt up in Indiana again while she went through the rehab. But I begged her to come back to Florida because I just wasn't happy up in the Midwest. So I came back down to finish out my senior year in Florida. And when I did move down to Florida, I wanted to bring this up. They required me, I guess my mom didn't have my records, but they required me to get another, I think it was the DPT, the polio, and the MMR. Is that right? MMR. So after that is when I got so sick. I was in bed, I don't know if it was over the summer or if I missed school, but I was bedridden. I remember just crawling from the bed to the refrigerator. So I started getting migraines. The brain swelling started, I don't know if it was a year after, but not directly after, but migraines, brain swelling.
What age was this, approximately?
Like, this was after we moved down. It was in high school. They required, it was after, yeah, and then my left eye was drooping. Like one of my prom pictures, I see the eye and just the black, just black under my eye. And at the time, we didn't put two and two together, obviously, or we never would have gotten those shots, those vaccines, the extra vaccines. So then my mom ended up going back up. She couldn't no longer function, so she ended up moving back up with my grandmother and living with her while I stayed down here and went to college. So I was on my own. I was 18. I moved out. I'm on my own. Also, I developed acne probably around the age of 15, 16, and it was very bad. They put me on antibiotics, doxycycline, and then also a face cream, an antibiotic face cream. So I was just slathered in antibiotics. And later on, I ended up using that Proactive, which is laced with chemicals. I must have been slathering my face with that for over 15 years.
Ooh, wow.
I believe there's even aluminum in that. I am just a walking chemical plant. In my 20s, my mom, she developed cancer. It was lung cancer, no surprise. She smoked all her life. And during that time, a friend of hers inspired her to go to court and because my father never paid child support, to go back to court for child support. So they wanted me to testify. My mom wanted me to testify, and I was just beside myself. A very stressful situation to be in. I'd never been in court or in front of a judge. And during this time, my mom was dying. So here we are wheeling in my mom, in a wheelchair, and I'm having to testify against my father. So that was a hard day. At the end of the court case, I remember my mom saying, "Do you want to, say goodbye to your father?" I turned and I looked, and I'm like, "No, not really." And from that day forward, I disassociated myself with him. There was just a lot of anger. I just didn't see any, just because he was my biological father. At the time, I just didn't. It's funny that when you're younger, I was in my late teens, I wanted that, even when I was even super younger, I wanted that, your father's love, attention. But it kind of morphed into anger, I don't know, embarrassment, yeah. So after that, within about a year, she was getting chemo treatments, radiation. I was living down in Florida at the time. It was very hard for me because we couldn't have conversations, even on the telephone, because she would fall asleep, slurring, incohesive. So it was very hard. Our last conversation was me talking to her fiance, who is like a father to me, a wonderful man. But we were talking, I was talking about my concern of the prescriptions and us needing, you know, we need to get her off some of these. You know, we've tried countless times, and obviously, you know, if the person doesn't want to, you know, she was obviously masking a lot, or, you know, yeah, masking the pain through all of the drugs. And I do believe that she developed, as I did, all these symptoms and diseases from the traumas. You know, and she actually did confirm that because she met with a counselor as well, who said, you know, the cancer, it's all very deep rooted. My grandmother, she was living with my grandmother, and she came home, and my mom had, she found her on the floor. Her esophagus had exploded, and there was blood everywhere. So my poor grandmother had to experience that, her own daughter. So I got the phone call, and I had spoken to her the night before, and she was very angry at me for bringing up the drug addiction. So it was a tough time. I don't want to say in a sense I got numb to it, or I just wasn't as sympathetic or empathetic towards her situation because it had gone on so long. That was a hard time as well. Extremely stressed out. I had to fly up for the funeral. And after the funeral, I came back to Florida. I was drinking heavily, continued into my, well, mid-20s. I was 28 when I got sober. But when I got back, I also got involved with people that were not violent physically, but very dysfunctional. They were either alcoholics, verbal abuse, in a sense. I had a low self-esteem. So I continued to drink and try to mask the pain. It was around 25 or 6, I think, or 7, that I met my husband, my ex-husband, but my husband at the time. He was also drinking heavily. We met at my friend's wedding. But I'm very, very thankful, well, for all my experiences, but I'm very thankful that we met each other, because if we hadn't met each other, I would not have realized that what I was doing was not working. It was not working. So we had some situations where he was drinking heavily and would black out, and lots of verbal abuse. A time where he picked me up, and set me down. That was it for me. I didn't want to be in that kind of violent situation. So I pretty much gave him an ultimatum. You stop drinking, or else. And of course, that doesn't work. People quit when they want to quit. So, but eventually, it just snowballed to the point where his eyes opened up as well, and he got sober, and he joined AA. And at the time, I joined Al-Anon. So I would just, there was also an adult-child meeting, which I gravitated to. saying that I was an adult child of alcoholics, addicts. But the issue was when I sat in those meetings, I would just cry. I couldn't open up. I didn't want to. I couldn't share. I couldn't voice what I told you earlier. All these situations, stories, right? Because it's just a story. I couldn't voice. So I would just sit there and cry. What I didn't realize was that I had trauma, PTSD. That's just a label. It was just unresolved emotions,
Well, that we carry on from all our ancestors.
Yes, yeah.
And here you come to resolve all your ancestors' emotions.
Yeah. I've got lots to resolve, but I've done a great, made so much progress. Yeah. So as I sat in those meetings, there was a lady there, and just this wonderful lady, and she referred me to a counselor because she realized, she was in drug and alcohol counseling herself. So she referred me to a counselor, and I probably want to say 3 years of talk therapy. But it was just that. It was talk therapy. So at least I was voicing, right, discussing. But I had this out, right, but I don't know what to do with it, So she's trying to introduce me to mindfulness, which was, great. But it was just talking. The energy was still, the memories, the energy was still there. So the memories, I was able to file them back and function, but they're still there, a part of me, a deep part. So I continued to go to those meetings, as did my ex or my husband at the time. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had graduated with a degree in psychology, which is kind of funny. I believe that I was trying to figure out my life and myself. It was a great experience, a learning experience, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that degree. I thought that I wanted to get into drug and alcohol counseling. So I followed the same lady around that referred me to the counselor, and it was the longest day of my life. I was in tears. We went downtown to the jail, and I followed her around, kind of shadowed her, and it was quite an experience. Women who had been, just the same situation as my mom, so it's triggering me. It's triggering me. So I remember sitting there with this lady who I love dearly. We're still friends, and she said, "Well, Kelly, what do you want to do? What would you?" And I said, I have always wanted to do interior design. So she said, "What are you waiting for? Take a class." So I took a class. From there, I continued on. I got my degree in interior design, second degree, and went to work from there. During that time, when I was going to school, I got pregnant. I wasn't trying to get pregnant, but I did. And I was only 5 weeks, and I had a miscarriage myself. At the time, it was extremely traumatic. I didn't know what was going on. The night before, it was almost like I was going to black out for a minute, pass out. And then I went to bed, and I woke up, and I was getting cramps. So I thought, well, maybe it's my time of the month. But the cramps were getting worse and worse and worse. And then I started bleeding, and quite a bit. It looked like it wasn't looked like a bloodbath. So my husband, I called him at the time, and I said, something's going on. So he called 911, they came and got me. That's when they determined that I had a miscarriage after they did the ultrasound. And that's when they had to do a DNC. And at the time, he was newly sober and he didn't know how to handle his emotions. So he just went to meetings, which left me alone, dealing with it, dealing with this myself. I felt alone. I understood that he had to, go to meetings for his support. But it was a very hard time. I had a good friend come and sit with me during that time. So I found it ironic that here I am. I'm kind of going the same path as far as health, right, as my mother. I'm having this miscarriage. I continued working in the interior design field. I decided I wanted to get LEED certified, so I did that. It was very stressful for me. The exam was grueling. Studying for the exam was grueling. After that, I was having pains in my left ovary, very fatigued. So I also, around the age of 34, I had one of those like a large sebaceous cyst on my left side. It became infected, and I had to have it surgically removed. And I think I had nerve pain from that point forward, a lot of nerve pain. I remember I went for a massage, and she was giving me a massage on this side, and I don't know what he did when he pulled that out, but she was giving me a massage, and my back leg went up. And she's like, oh my gosh, she didn't want to be too alarmed, but she thought, wow, that's different. She didn't know what was going on. But yeah. So after as I graduated, I ended up in a company for about 9 years. During that time, I was in a workplace bully situation that took an extreme toll on my health. Because of my past situation, I would kind of shut down and not stand up for myself. It took me a long time. It was quite a learning experience to stand up to that. That went on for quite a while. My marriage just, it was very dysfunctional. We were very unhappy. I became the nagging wife, so to speak. The unhappy nagging wife, wanting to control and change my husband into something that didn't work. Imagine that. And I noticed that looking back, I took care of everything. So I took care of everything from around the house to, if we wanted to buy the house, I did all the legwork, everything, just took care of everything, the groceries. So that changed. It's like I was stopped, literally walking in my path. Everything changed, snap. I was 37, and we just had dinner, and we were walking out of the restaurant, and we had, it was so unhealthy what we were eating, thinking back, burgers and fries, nice. But, so we were walking out, and I was in front of my husband, and he was always kind of in a rush. So I go to open the door, and he kind of pushes into me, and I fly forward. And at that moment, my shoe, my foot gets caught. I'm on my flip-flop. So my foot kind of bends forward, my left foot. And I fly forward, and I was in excruciating pain. I hobbled back to the car. I was in tears. He wasn't very sympathetic. Just wanted to get home, dismissed it. So we went home. The next morning, I was in so much pain that night, I tried to ice it. The next morning, I woke up, and my foot was black underneath, just completely black. Me being the workaholic, never wanting to stop, I go into work. I hobble into work with a black foot. And I remember showing my coworker, and her eyes just, wow, oh my gosh. So I ended up going to the podiatrist. No. I went to, no, you know what? I hobbled around for probably a week thinking that it would heal. It did not heal. It was actually getting worse. But I had won a trip through work to the Indy 500. So I wanted to go so bad that I went to the doctor. He did a bone scan, which, oh my gosh, they shoot you up with, I don't know what it is, chemicals. And they did the bone scan. They didn't find any broken bones. But so I said, well, can I go to the trip, go on the trip? So we went on the trip. I was walking around, hobbling around on the trip. And I get back, and I end up on crutches. I'm walking around on crutches. It's not healing. No wonder. And that's when I end up going to the podiatrist. I think, oh, it's a problem with my foot. I'll go to the podiatrist. He can fix me, right? So of
course.
So, oh my gosh. So I go to the podiatrist. I go a few times. So he sends me for, I can't remember what it was, a scan, and he determines that I have 2 tissue tears on the bottom of my foot. So I've been walking around, they're not healing. He decides to put my foot in a walking boot for 3 weeks. So here I am, I'm hobbling around for 3 weeks, still on crutches. I go back to my appointment. I noticed that a sharp pain is at the injury site, and it's getting worse. So when I'm at my appointment, he takes the boot off, and he asks me to move my ankle, move your foot. And I'm looking down at my foot, and I can't. So he's like, can you move your ankle? No. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to move my ankle. I can't move my toes. Inside I'm just, oh wow, And my leg muscle was completely emaciated. So it was just skin and bones. It turned purple, very cold, and the pain had gotten worse. And I noticed when he went down to kind of examine my foot, I'm guarding it. So, ooh, don't touch. So after that, he determines that I had what doctors label as CRPS, RSD. He sends me to physical therapy. So I'm hobbling in, leaving work, during the day or early to go to physical therapy 3 times a week. They're trying to get my leg, my ankle to move or, try to stop this from progressing. Physical therapy. They also did ultrasound on the bottom of my foot, which turned it back to like a black purple color underneath. Still in just excruciating pain. So I meet back with him. He wants to send me to a pain management clinic. For me, that was rock bottom, because that's where my mom went, So, oh my gosh, I was in tears, crying. I called my coworker, to tell her the news. At the time, my boss, actually the owner of the company, he was a health enthusiast. He I don't want to say intercepted, but I'm so thankful. He stepped in just in the nick of time and introduced me to a lady who did frequency-specific microcurrent. At the time, her office was across from mine, so I would just hobble over and work with, actually 5 days a week. I was working with her. She was able to, actually, when they first took me in, they took me in on a Saturday. I remember this. She said, you need to get her in immediately, because we need to break this 24/7 pain cycle. And she was able to with her machine, with this frequency, which was great at the time, but it can only do so much. But at the time, it was something that worked for me. So I worked with her for 3 months, 5 days a week straight, to it softens the tissue, so I was able to, my ankle could move just enough so that I could start walking a little bit. My toes were still, they didn't move well. But it was enough, for a while to kind of break the pain cycle, and for me to, so she said, do you realize that you're learning to walk all over again? So I did that. And she made me see the connection between CRPS and trauma. A lot of war veterans also can develop RSD, CRPS, the label, and it's due to the trauma and emotions that are unresolved. So the connection between my left foot, it was so deeply connected to my childhood. And I remember her leaning over me, this lady, and I love her to pieces still to this day. She said, have you, leaning over me, I'm looking up, have you ever been in a trauma? And I looked up, do you mean a car accident? No, oh, yes. And so then I was able to voice more of it, it came out. It came out in very much more than just the talk therapy. But it came out, and so much was coming out that I didn't know what to do with it. So I'm a mess. I mean, it's great that it got out, but once again, I didn't know what to do with it. So that is when my boss, who is like a mentor to me now, he sent me to someone else, and she did energy work. And I worked with her for 9 months, and she did the acutonics, energy, kinesiology. It's hard to describe what she did. It was just incredible, absolutely incredible. She was able to unblock so many energy, so many blocks. She could just hold my pulse and we would just go back in time. She was so intuitive. It was, that right there was a turning point for me. She felt like long lost family. So it was working with her when I realized that I was sitting there staring at my feet. I'm burning alive. Oh, that's another story. I had got, oh goodness, I'm going off on a tangent. But it was working with her when I realized that the moment that I was okay with what is, you know, I'm looking down at my feet and I'm not fighting it. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm okay. I'm okay with what is. It seemed like everything just started changing, shifting, changing. So I, through work, I had insurance, health insurance, and I spoke with my aunt. She, oh gosh, there's so much. She had, I told her, oh, so I was up and walking, and I won a trip to Mexico, and I was highly motivated to walk just enough to get there. So I got there. 3 months. I worked so hard just to get there. I had to be in a wheelchair in the airport, but I got there. So this, it was a beautiful vacation. I got there. We were taking a tour of Tulum, and it was very, very hot. Very hot. I remember the sun blazing down, and all of a sudden I felt like I was on fire. Somebody had thrown me into just a fire pit, and I looked down, and my left leg was bright red, on fire, bright red. I just want to scream. So I get the crutches, and I just crutch back to the bus. I am trying to cool it off with a water bottle, cold water bottle. We get back to the hotel, and my right foot starting to turn pink. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? You know, it's my left foot that has an injury. What is going on with my right foot? So I get back from the trip, and I call my aunt, who's my mom's youngest sister, and I tell her about it, and she said, oh dear, it sounds like you could possibly have what your other aunt has. And I knew it in the back of my head that entered, my mind, but I was in denial. She said, you should go see a doctor. So you can find out, get diagnosed. So at the time I had insurance for Mayo Clinic. So I think, oh, they're the best. They're the best, the best of the best. I will make an appointment with Mayo Clinic. So I got into Mayo Clinic. They ran, oh gosh, a month worth of tests. So I was going back and forth. So many painful tests, very painful. There was like a nerve conduction test where they'll shock you, so painful. The other one, oh gosh, EMG, where they put a needle and they insert it into your muscles. Just excruciating pain. I'm putting myself through, right? Yeah. So they do venous studies. They did a tilt table test where they determined I had dysautonomia POTS. What else? Echocardiogram, the 24-hour monitoring of my heart. I had to wear this. It was just, that was quite an experience.
I'm sure.
So I was mind blown because here I am, I'm going through all these tests, right, at the Mayo Clinic. I thought, oh, they're going to come up with something. I'm sitting across from the neurologist, and he tells me, well, we can, I think that's when he put me on gabapentin, Neurontin, yeah. And then they gave me this special foot cream, you know, to help numb the pain, which pain is a signal, right, that you need to pay attention to.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So, what else? Say, oh, and his suggestion was I could stick my feet in a bucket of ice.
Well, that's a good thing.
Well, the thing is if you do that too much, there were people that had this condition, right? I was diagnosed with erythromelalgia, which is man on fire. Many people stick their feet in buckets of ice nonstop because you're literally, it feels like you're the inside of an oven when you touch it. That's how painful it is. It's indescribable, the pain. It's the same gene as the people that can't feel pain. You know, the people who have that gene. We have the other gene, the erythromelalgia gene, is where you feel the opposite. So it's just
sensitive.
Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. So people try to stick their feet in buckets of ice, and they'll get infections, even possibly gangrene. It's not a good thing to do, you know, 24/7. And here he's telling me to do this. They told me to work with my primary care physician after this. They just gave me a diagnosis. I spent thousands of dollars, you know, of all this testing. So I end up going to, referred to an alternative medicine doctor. Actually, I think I was going to her kind of around the same time. And she was also a Lyme specialist. So she ends up giving me the Western blot test, and some bands came back positive for Lyme disease. So on top of that, she's telling me, you've got Lyme disease. She puts me on low-dose naltrexone, LDN. I take myself off of it. I didn't see anything happening. She works with me. Here I thought, I felt like, you know, she's alternative medicine, but I was heavily medicated. So she ups my gabapentin to 2,800 milligrams, which I don't even know how I was standing. I don't know how I was standing. And at the very beginning, when I was having the pain after the foot injury, I was having panic attacks when this would occur. So they put me on Klonopin. I forgot to mention that, which is a benzo. So I'm on a milligram of Klonopin. I'm on 2,800 milligrams of gabapentin, and then she puts me on Effexor, which is an SSNRI, which is a psych med. The same med that my aunt was taking. So they thought maybe that would help me. So here I am on so many drugs. The same doctor diagnoses me with severe adrenal fatigue. She wants to give me Cortef. I do the research on Cortef, and I think, oh man, that was the last straw for me. I can't do this. I mean, I will not get on, you know, these steroids. My mom was on steroids. Wow, here I am. I'm heading down the path. But, you know, time to change course. So,
was the naturopath a medical doctor?
What's that?
Was the naturopath a medical doctor?
She wasn't a naturopath. She was a alternative medicine type doctor.
But she's a medical doctor, right?
She was a Lyme specialist here.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So she wasn't a naturopath. No.
The one who was recommending prescribing drugs was
She was a regular doctor, but she was alternative. So she did do some things, but she did it with isolates. So, oh, you might need some B12. Oh, you might need, she had me on I have a sheet, do this, do that, yeah. So.
Well, it's all treatment based, right? That's what how they do things. They treat.
Absolutely, yeah. So I also got a bone density test, which revealed that I had osteopenia. I was 38 at the time, which is, I think, pretty young to have osteopenia, but maybe not. So I'm going downhill fast. I'm heavily drugged. Not quite sure how I'm functioning at work. At home, I was scooting around in a chair with casters from room to room. I really don't know how I work, because most people are disabled with what I had. So I think I was in survival mode, from childhood. I'm not going to stop. Me being disabled means me giving up. And I'm not. I don't want to go. I don't want to go there. And I was even, my boss at the time, because I'm the frequency specific microcurrent lady, told him there's nothing more I can do for her. So he suggested looking into that through the company, and that was not an option for me. So I would work, but when I went into work, they had an AC. He bought an AC unit for me, a little mini one, put it under my desk in the wind. I would have it as cold as I could with my feet elevated, and I'm working. And I tried not to walk around the office very much, because I really couldn't. And I would drive to work with my foot up on the dashboard with the AC blasting on it.
Wow.
My left, which was very dangerous. But luckily, I lived very close to work. Yeah, so when I got home, I was unable to do all the daily household chore, just the grocery shopping, the cleaning, the laundry, everything, all the household duties. I couldn't do anymore. Making food. This all started to fall on my husband, which he was so used to me doing everything, taking care of everything. So he definitely, this kind of situation caused a lot of stress anyway on a relationship. But I did the best that I could. When I was home, I was on the couch or in bed. What am I trying to say? Oh, when I had to shower, I would just wheel in there, hobble in there, and I couldn't have the hot water touch me, so I put my legs up on the shower wall, unable to have the hot water touch me. So I continued to work. Resentment grew in the relationship. So I was introduced to biotesting as well. He found diphtheria, Lyme bacteria, high levels of cadmium, which could be possibly from the water contamination, even makeups, right? It wasn't really, yeah. He found a lot of stuff. He even hooked up my feet and found lots of viruses and bacteria. Trying to think. It was after that I met a friend down at a juice bar, my best friend, And she had there was a business card. She said, "Hey, why don't you try this?" And that's not how she sounds. why don't you try this? So I looked at the card, and it was a detoxification specialist, and there was food on there, and I looked at it, and I kind of giggled to myself. I hadn't even thought about food. What is food? At the time, I'm fine. I've got all these practitioners. I've got all these practitioners. I'm fine. I don't need to change how I'm eating. So I ignored it. Yep. I ignored it. I had to hit rock bottom. And I remember I was laying in bed just crying, just not wanting to go on, but I was going to go on, but I just didn't see how I could go on like that. So I'm in tears. And I remember the same person was mentioned third time's a charm. So I'm in tears, and what appears? The same person. So something just nudged me to contact this person. So I contacted this person, and that's when I was introduced to Dr. Morris in detoxification. So as soon as I dove right in. I dove in. I didn't look back. I went from a standard American diet of junk food, right? Just total junk. And I went juicing, smoothies, and salads. Very basic salad, because remember, I can't really do much anyway. I couldn't stand really to prep. Even when I did the juicing, I would juice on the floor. Yeah, because it was much easier for me to juice on the floor than this round table. I didn't want to damage the table, but so I would juice. But the funny thing is, looking back, going from a standard American diet to, fruits and vegetables, I had to eat a lot. I had to be, to stop some of the healing reactions. I had to eat a lot. So I would drink 64 ounces of juice for breakfast, and I would have another big jug of smoothies. I would make myself smoothies, yeah. And then at night I would just do a simple salad with lemon, some cucumber, just whatever I could, chopped up lettuce. And that's what I did. So I had a lot of, just going from that diet all my life with all the chemicals, I had lots of healing reactions. Lots. And during that time period, I had lots of symptoms improve a tremendous amount. So I continued on with that for quite a while, several years. I would do grape juice fast, grape fast, but I couldn't make it past 13, no, not past 2 weeks for sure. I would become so emotionally unstable. I'm sure it had a lot to do with the psych meds, because at the same time, as soon as I started Dr. Morris, I started tapering the drugs. So, and these are heavy duty drugs. So it was kind of like a balancing game for me. But I was determined to come off of them one way or another. So I started with the gabapentin. And there were times where I had to balance it with some steamed vegetables, and because the detox would be just too heavy for me at the time. So, and
how long ago was that?
Let's see. And then I also went down to visit Dr. Morris after that. My boss, who was the health enthusiast, he sent me to all these practitioners. He sent me to see Dr. Morris, which was very nice. So that was in January of 2014.
Okay. So 3-4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, not too long ago.
Yeah, yeah, because I've been drug med free for 2 years in May, but I started the tapering. Yeah, so it's been quite a process.
And so just last May. Just last May you stopped the drugs?
Oh no. It was such a long process. So I did it. You can't just cold turkey these drugs. Well,
no.
I choose not to. That's not. No. So I started with the gabapentin, and I tapered off that, and then I jumped right into tapering the Klonopin. That's the benzo. So as I tapered that, wow, that was intense. I couldn't sleep, sweating. I backed into my car garage. Yeah, it was very rough. And in fact, the same doctor the alternative medicine doctor, she gave me the taper schedule for that. And it was a 3-week taper schedule. And I used it because she's the doctor, not knowing, without researching. And I ended up in the ER. The night before, I thought I was going to die, and I have a very, very, very high threshold of pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what was going on. I was going by the schedule. The next day, I collapsed over the sofa. My heart was beating rapidly. My blood pressure was through the roof.
Were you doing any enemas? Were you washing your bowels?
No, that comes later when I found out about enemas.
Yeah, the protocols, you see, the raw food, when I did raw food, even, I'm not so sick, it wasn't on drugs. Coming from raw, standard diet, more or less, but cleaner, I was preparing my food. And then going to raw food, I detoxed from every opening in my body. It just tells you, because your body's not, your body's blocked. It's obstructed. I think it's a deep detox, even just raw food. Right? So if you're not prepared, and that's why I love the masterclass, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It really doesn't matter where you come from. It's a smart detox. There are many detoxification protocols out there. Do not, in my opinion, they don't have what it takes, to help the body purge. We really need to support the body purge. Of course, you have the herbs, but then it's very important to wash the bones, right? I mean, now you know, of course, but back then, nobody knows that. I mean, I did raw food too. Nobody talks about these things.
Purging doesn't happen until you stop eating.
Yeah, it's true.
I did have my first colonic around that time, but the colonic was during the time when I was doing the taper schedule that was just, it was too fast. So I only had one colonic. It wasn't a pleasant experience. I wasn't doing enemas at the time. So at the hospital, it's kind of, and this is kind of funny too. My neighbor, who was a friend, she grabs all my herbs, and she doesn't understand what I'm doing, so she takes the herbs with her, thinking that that's causing it. The detox is causing it. At this point in time, I'm 86 pounds. I'm very thin. She doesn't understand what's going on, so she brings the herbs, to the ER, and they're monitoring my blood pressure. It's off the roof. My husband's sitting there worried about when I'm going to go back to work. So for me, that was very eye-opening, that I was in time to change, time to change my environment. So it would, as soon as they gave me the Klonopin, as soon as they reinstated the Klonopin, because I got down pretty far, right, on the cutting the taper schedule. As soon as they gave me the Klonopin, all those symptoms, right, the high blood pressure, the heart rate, everything, I'm fine. So they monitored me overnight. So I ended up doing research myself online, and did it. I revisited it, and I did it much safer, a lot slower. This took me quite some time. And once I tapered the Klonopin is when I jumped into the Effexor, which I want to say took me a year. That, I don't know. I want to say that one's even tougher, but I don't know. They're both so tough.
Is that the benzo family? Effexor?
That is the SSRI.
No, it's not. My aunt is on this one. But
it's FSNRI.
Yeah.
It's a psych med for depression, but they were using it for nerve pain for me. Yeah, lots of uses. So I slowly started tapering that. At the time, I was trying to think. My marriage was dissolving, and I knew it, but all I was focused on was just my goals. So I just chose to not see what was going on. There was infidelity. He maybe sort of a bit of a midlife crisis. This kind of situation takes its toll on family members. But the funny thing is that I was working so hard, to go in the right direction at this point, but there was not a lot of support. He didn't want to change, and so my changing made him uncomfortable, in a sense. So we eventually, it's kind of funny, I was having all these dreams, very vivid dreams, kind of revealing dreams, and one was of him. It woke me out of a deep sleep saying, I'm thinking about getting a divorce. So I knew to kind of prepare myself. So I was working so hard at getting back on my feet, because I had to prepare to sell the house, move. I was looking for a new job, just all the major life events, all at once. Trying to think. We had bought a new house thinking that the change of environment might make our, renew our relationship. But as you know, the grass is always greener. What? Do you know where you are? So it took me a while to realize that. But a lot of times I spent a lot of time alone, and it was not lonely. It was beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And so, and I also had a dream. I would have dreams with Dr. Morris frequently, and there was this one dream where there was this, and this is how I feel like I found Master Fast. He was spinning, and it was very, just like this light, right? Energy light, spinning. And then from this point, it was spinning space, and then spinning, and then space, and then spinning. And I was just fascinated. This dream just really stuck out, but I thought, what? I just kind of filed it away. Wow, this is really interesting. It's just, I was in awe. Beautiful energy, spinning, just bright light. So it was, I think I joined Master Fast group about 2 years ago. I was still tapering, the meds, still doing that. But something clicked. You know, I just started, when I'm interested in something, it's research everything. So I'm just, you know, videos, I watched all your videos, you know, I read everything, even some of the cash videos that you know, so something clicked. Wow, I think this is what, you know, my dream, you know, because I had so many dreams kind of leading me to
Plasma balls.
yeah, yes, a light bulb went off. So for me, that was a sign that I couldn't ignore. And then during this time, I'm watching and you know, I'm just doing my thing. I'm tapering. I don't feel emotionally ready, you know, comfortable. But I noticed that oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Something about Richard Anderson. So fast forward, I'm with my partner that I'm with now, who I love dearly. He did an interview with Richard Anderson in the colon cleansing, and boy, you know, it's at the same time I'm watching this master fast, and how his story about how wonderful he felt like a new person after he cleaned out his colon. And then a good friend of mine is sending me pictures of her colon cleanses and enemas. And so she put that in my mind around the same time I'm watching you. She's sending pictures of her releases. At first I thought, oh my gosh, how could that can't be me, you know?
Exactly.
That's the funniest. I am so glad that I, you know, am able to kind of get outside and look and observe, because if I had been in denial, I would, yeah. So I started, you know, I was watching you guys very closely, studying.
You didn't think we're crazy at the start?
No. Not really, no, because you know, I've been introduced to so much energy work. You know, I really resonated with it, obviously. And then so I started doing enemas during my last tapering of the Fexer, Rana. So I did notice that I was feeling much better. The migraines were going away. You know, from the tapering, certain symptoms were going away. It was still, you know, tough. But I started doing enemas myself, doing some colon cleanses. It made it a lot easier. So let's see. Where should we fast forward to? I met my partner at a raw vegan meetup. Actually was going away. He was going away to Ecuador. So we clicked instantly. He was into you know, energy work. You know, he knew about, he didn't know about Dr. Morris or the fasting or anything, but I introduced him to it, obviously. We talked that entire night just about, you know, when you find someone that you know, is as enthusiastic as you are about the same thing, you know, it's just instant. So so he went back down to Ecuador, but he ended up moving back to Florida to live with me for a few years while I worked, and I was working very hard. I didn't know when to stop because I was so used to taking care of everybody else, and I had never stopped to take care of myself. Yeah, even up until that point. He made me realize that, to seek. So he moved up, and I was also afraid to move. I had been in Florida for 27 years. So that was my comfort zone. And so he ended up, you know, we were living up, I was working, but I was working a lot. I ended up working at a place that was wonderful. I got out of the workplace bully situation. Everything changed. Everything. Obviously I got divorced. Everything was new. Everything was fresh and new. From my job to where I was living to my relationship to just absolutely everything was new and fresh. I ended up, after 2 years, I jumped out of the box. I did it. I told them that I was going to take some time off for myself to heal. And we moved to Ecuador, which is completely out of my comfort zone. I don't speak Spanish. Everything's different here. Wow, yeah. So let me think, how many months in, you know, we got situated, I got comfortable, and I remember laying out down, you know, down below here, contemplating on when I was going to start, the master fast, and I knew I was going to do it, but I just, when am I? So I'm contemplating, and I'm laying in the sun, and what is it called? A rainbow, what is it called? A sun halo appears over me. And so I run in and get Gary, you know, get out here, you've got to see this. So I knew the next day I was going to start, and I did. And so well, the rest is history. No. So I started Master Fast. Yeah. So I don't know if you want me to go into some of that.
Yeah.
Where in Ecuador are you?
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
we're still in Ecuador.
Where in Ecuador?
Oh, on the coast, near Manta. But we fell in love with Cuenca too, as well. So, but Cuenca is kind of like Disneyland with food. So, but when we went to the first time it was during the fast. We went to Cuenca, and I was just in the zone, no distractions, and I was fine. But then the second time I was off the fast, it was probably 6 weeks in, right? So when I broke the fast, I did it great. I was on fruits for several weeks. Eased into some green juice. And then when we got to Cuenca, I started tasting a few of Gary's things, and yeah, so Cuenca can be good. It's a beautiful place. And we went to, this last time we went to a spa that has hot springs, and the contrast bath, and this mud that has minerals, and I can't remember, crystals, some kind of crystal. Can't remember what it's called. But I had never, and then I was in one of the sweat boxes. Never done that. And you know, somebody with what I had I couldn't even tolerate any kind of cool or any kind of hot. I had to have it freezing cold. So here I am after Master Fast in a heat box, right? You know, usually I would turn bright red, right, with bright red feet. There's no way I would be caught in a sauna, in a heat box, you know, in hot water. Oh my goodness. So I'm in a heat box. I'm going hot, cold.
Moving energy.
It was wonderful. When we go back this next week, we're going back there once a week. It's just, I had never felt so incredible. I wish they had one here. I wish yeah. Lots of minerals in that mud, supposedly. So I could feel it. Good stuff.
So how was your experience going through MasterFast?
It was very good. Let me think. I want to say in the 80, okay, so day 80 is when it got, I think that was the emotions for 80, that week, the 80s. But what was beautiful is you could separate yourself from the emotions so much easier and just watch it and let it flow, and it would surface right, because I could do the talk therapy all day long, but that wasn't doing anything. So I could feel whatever came up, and it was beautiful because I could understand what almost instantly what I was feeling, what it was connected to in the past, and just release it. I want to say it was similar in a sense to what I was doing, but better, the energy work, right? The energy blockages. And then you realize that you're not your feeling, and you're not your thoughts, right?
It would be best to do the fast and the emotional work, like the energy work.
Yeah, but for some reason, this is the way I experienced it. Yeah, it would be beautiful. Beautiful. I would love to do it. But really, I'm not even sure if I don't say I wouldn't need it, but I mean, it would be nice,
So were you releasing? What was your dry fasting schedule like?
I kept mine to a minimum. So 12 hours, 24-hour weekly, and I would try to go for the 36. There was a time where it was rough, and I know, from sharing everything, that I was so loaded with chemicals, even from my skin. Right, I'm putting Proactive on my face and antibiotics and just
antidepressants.
Again, all the drugs. I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't fall asleep without taking Benadryl, Tylenol PM, or Alka-Seltzer Plus for years. I couldn't, and I know it was me because I couldn't. I slept very lightly, and I know it stems back from my childhood, always having to be on alert.
All coming back, releasing.
Yeah. So the chemicals. And what it was, Arnold Ehret said, when you do the dry fast, the more symptoms you experience, the more toxic you are, basically. And it was very obvious, it became very obvious that it was the drugs coming out, because I was having the same side effects, symptoms, crawling out of my skin, heart beating rapidly, almost to the point when I went to 36 hours, to the point where, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the ER, but wow, it feels like that same time when I was tapering. So I needed to break it, which is fine. So I broke it. I know that I'll feel more comfortable as I go along. I may stick to shorter. I won't be doing 12 days like you said.
It's the consistency, persistence, that's going to get you there. Is not the one-time thingy that some people think and believe. It's the lifestyle. This is the lifestyle. In a few years, wow, you look back, holy geez, was that me? Like you've already experienced by changing, your lifestyle a few years ago, and it just keeps getting better and better.
It really is. With the I just, even with the plasma pudding, I did, to 1.5 tablespoons. I did everything. I felt like slow and steady for the winter, kind of as I did with the tapering. I want to kind of, maybe if I go like this, but I still, I want to go up. So I did everything.
Yeah, there is no plateau on master fast. There's no plateau. So you go smoothly, and if you want to go further, you know what to do. Yeah, but you don't want to push it, and just allow it to be. If you feel this is your comfort, then keep it like that for a while. When you feel more, maybe next year, go higher. The year after, go higher. With a dry fast, less juice and stuff like that.
The challenge is
more plasma per day.
The challenge is with people are not in tune with their body because it's been so numbed out for many years, and they don't know how to read what's happening because it's false. And this is why we do our reading and watching and understanding what other people's experiences are, so we can get a taste of what's happening and why it's happening, because we have to come to the understanding that we allow these things to go through, and sometimes they're not going to be comfortable, and sometimes they're not going to be comfortable, really not comfortable. And once we go through a few of them, the next time, oh, okay, that's what was happening, and it gets easier, and the confidence goes up. It's a step-by-step thing for people. Some people, they just freak out and they stop it, they go eat, and they don't want any part of it because they just don't have that understanding. They don't want to understand it, and they're not ready. So when we do this, and we allow it, we start seeing what happens the other side. We've had several people that could barely do a 24-hour dry fast, and now they're doing three days comfortably, no problem, after a couple of years. We just, the way we're mentoring, take it slow. If you can't do 3 days dry, it's okay. Do the semi-dry and work your way so your body and your mind starts getting understanding of what's happening at a lesser pace. And, the results are coming out. People are able to, work their way up over the few years. No problem. Slow, steady, we get there. And, you're doing great, Kelly. And you've overcome so much in these last few years. And there was, you wrote your testimonial on the page, and unreal, the stuff that you've gone through. Maybe you want to just some of the highlights from that.
Oh boy, that's a long list.
Yeah, it's it's like once you get over these things, it's like they're gone from your memory until you think about them. If you've noticed, like you don't want to remember them. Yeah.
Well, and I had that list because I did make a list of issues I wanted current issues to focus on, right, during healing. So I've got to be detailed, right? But it's funny because I was going through the list, and the first thing is, this is on Master Fast, some of the things cannot stand while taking a shower. Oh, wow, I can stand while taking a shower now.
Exactly what I mean.
And I'm going down this list. Wow, there are so many things on this list that it's mind-blowing. Unable to leave foot down while sitting. The left foot, I can do that now. I think even when I met with you, I had my foot, I'd always, oh, geez, I got to put my foot up because the blood flow wouldn't go to my, wasn't going up to my brain, and I would feel like passing out. And then also another thing, while we were driving to Cuenca, this was the first time this had ever happened. I usually had to put, they weren't flaring, but there was still purple in my feet when I would leave them down. So I would want to elevate them because it felt more comfortable and I could feel more blood flow. So we're driving to Cuenca, and I don't know how many hours that was. Like, oh geez, many hours, 6 hours. And I looked down. I think we stopped on Guayaquil, yeah. And I looked down, and my feet were white. I was so thrilled. Gary, look at this. I'm constantly, Gary, look at this. You know, even during the Master Fast, I come running down the stairs, Gary, and I just start running around the house. And on my foot, I couldn't get my foot up on the left, like my left foot, I couldn't, still couldn't, the toes were kind of still stiff, and I couldn't put my weight up on it. And I was doing that, running around. Yeah, just, so many things.
It's amazing what your soul can do.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, these were intentions and goals that I set and I wrote down and I typed up. You know, I'm going through them now. It's just.
You're just knocking them off one by one.
Yeah. Like, wow, going through this list. Laying out in the sun, I can lay out, which is unheard of. I couldn't even, in the sun, if I even went out in the sun, I felt like I was getting stung by bees. And so the only way it would stop is if I ran into the air. I couldn't sweat. I was unable to sweat, and it felt like bees were stinging me. So I'd have to run into the air and just try to, you know. Now it just keeps getting better and better and better. I can stay in the sun, the heat, you know, heat longer and longer and longer. I can walk longer and longer and longer, farther, farther, farther. It's incredible. And even one of Gary's favorite things, besides me not smelling anymore, and it wasn't Master Fast, I just I smelled terrible for the whole time I was detoxing. It wasn't until after Master Fast that the body odor went away.
Yeah, well, all those chemicals, all those years is just oozing.
Yeah, my colon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you stop.
I'm sorry.
You stop that. No, I'm sorry. I'm excited too. No, you stop the detox when you start eating, and so the toxins are not gonna come out as much.
Yeah, but you got rid of so much.
Yeah, during Master Fast, right? But then there were times during Master Fast that I did stink, but man, I got rid of so much. I mean, I was dumping things, but okay. So Gary's favorite thing was that I could literally stand and have a conversation with him. Because before I couldn't stand, I could walk down into the kitchen, but I'm constantly looking for a chair. I had to sit down, you know, because the blood wasn't going up to my brain. So I would feel like, you know, have trouble breathing or passing out. And next thing you know, on Master Fast, I'm going down there and I'm just standing there talking. I don't need a chair, you know. So he loved seeing that, for sure.
Incredible, 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 the things that you've overcome. When did you finish the 108 days?
That was in January.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're still in the second phase, you know, minimum 6 months. You know, lots is still going on, as you should know. With lots of changes are continuing when you're in the second phase, and it's great. What are you doing now? Are you just eating regularly? Are you doing any of the mini options? Are you doing your dry fasting schedule?
Well, right now I am back to, before I started Master Fast, I was juices. I know you don't like juices, but I felt the lightest and best on juices. I knew that before, so I think that's probably why it was very easy for me during the day to do, I think we talked about that, to do the Master Fast, because I was so used to just being on real light juice during the day. So right now I'm not doing the watermelon juice, I'm doing fruit juices or sometimes green juices, fruits.
You did the whole Master Fast on watermelon, I believe?
Yeah, I cooked the watermelon here in Ecuador.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great, great prices. And I enjoy, because I'm so used, it's kind of like a routine for me, right? So juicing, yeah, so I juiced the watermelon. It was a nice routine to get into. Very nice routine.
Yeah.
So that and fruit, and then if I do dinner, it's salads, sometimes zucchini, but it is a challenge when my partner cooks. He's been doing cooked vegan, so that is a challenge. Yeah. But you know, it's funny because when I'm on Master Fast, he got, for some reason, he says I like the what do you call it? I like the challenge. But when I was in the zone, I was fine. Yeah. I could go down and smell the food, and I would be fine. But now that I'm eating and he's cooking, you know, the vegan cooked food, that's a challenge.
Oh yeah, for everybody, it's environment dictates outcome. It affects us. So you know, we learn to just tap into the emotions of these things and do our best.
Kelly, yeah, sorry. Finish.
Yeah, finish.
Kelly, it's much easier to fast than to eat. There's no comparison. There's no comparison between fasting and eating. Fasting is much easier than eating.
Yes. Even just these 2 months. I agree. Even just these 2 months. I think this is something that I need to learn now, obviously. And then I feel terrible, right, if I eat cooked, or when we went to Cuenca, because usually I'm good, but then when I do, I don't feel well. I do not feel well. Even my mood changes.
Addictions come back. You want it more, right? You want to eat the same food again.
Yes, but one thing I have noticed since Master Fast is my partner is a great chef, and I would just eat. I don't like preparing anything, but before Master Fast, he would put salt and fats and we did avocado. Now I don't need salt. I can taste it really easily if it is in something. Say we're out in Cuenca, and then the avocado, no. If I do, it's like not avocado, but the hemp seeds minimum, and like a little bit of tahini. So when we went for Gary's birthday dinner, there's this restaurant here, and we love her. She's wonderful, and so she cooked a sweet potato for me, but I don't feel good, but like a sweet potato soup, and then just a salad with basil, no fat, no salt. So, but it is so much easier.
Simple life.
Yeah. So
more satisfaction as well. More satisfaction.
It's a lot easier.
Like you're full when you're fasting, but when you're eating, you want more.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you will find this when you keep fasting, eating. Yeah, you will say, why do I do this?
That's kind of where I am right now.
Are you fasting as well?
Well, no, but I mean, I finished the fast, now I'm eating, and then I'm kind of dabbling in this and that, and I see where I feel best.
Food is overrated.
Oh, and then when I broke the fast, I thought, but then I like the flavors, so I love orange juice. I love the flavors of fruit juices. So I had some orange juice, and then that memory, right, of that lovely orange liquid sunshine comes back. But it could be a lot worse, right, than orange juice. But, and then pineapples are fresh here as well, or they're ripe.
Right. Yeah.
So I like to do pineapple juice.
Occasional fruit juices is fine, but you might as well just eat them.
I know. I love liquids.
better for the yeah, but it's better because they move through you with the fiber. Now, if you do a cleanse, it's a cleanse, you know, like a master fast. But when you, yeah, juice your greens.
Oh, yeah. I feel so good on liquids, and I do green juices, and I do eat fruit. I love melon, so I'll sit and have just a meal of papaya. That's how I broke the fast. I love papaya, or I was really into plums, and like eating ice cream.
Why didn't you do the liquid?
Sorry. So, but yeah, waking up. Sorry.
Why didn't you do? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was saying, why didn't you do the liquid hybrid? I'm sorry, the master fast hybrid. So that would be like, yeah. So the juice, you have the juice, you feel light, and then later on you have your fruits, and then if you want salad after that.
I was definitely thinking that. Here's another challenge for my mind. Was I got down to 80 pounds, and in my mind, that was my, you know, before it was 86 when I lost so much weight, so I got down to 80, and it's kind of funny because I told myself I am going to stop when I get to 80, and so what happened? Like I do a dry fast 78. Do I stop? So I did not stop, but in my mind, right now I'm kind of giving my body a break because I've been on herbs before that. You know, before Master Fast, I was on herbs for a long time. This is my first break, and it feels great as long as I can stay out of trouble, which I don't get into a lot.
You're doing great.
Yeah. So these past few months have been kind of a little bit of a break from the herbs. I'll do a little bit of superfood, and what am I trying? Lost my train of thought. During the fast. Oh my gosh, what were we?
Are you doing that dry fasting?
Oh no, that's where I was getting at. Well, just the daily dry, so I can go up to 15 hours, 16. But I have put back 8 pounds, which is good for my mind. But I towards the end of the fast, I felt uncomfortable physically, laying down, the ribs. I didn't feel comfortable. I feel more comfortable now. I'm almost at a point where I could do another 40 days. So I was kind of throwing around the idea of doing a 40-day in July, but I'm almost wanting to push it up to
no rush. Take your time. No rush, because you're still in the second phase.
Maybe I should wait.
You know, if you throw it a week here and there, or a week on and off or something, and see how that goes. But take your time. No rush. There's lots going on. But the funny thing is that people condemn us for losing so much weight. But you're talking about keeping the weight and being immobile the way you were, or losing all that weight and being free. So there's no contest here for the person who's going through the experience, but what people are seeing out there. They're just looking at somebody losing weight. They have no understanding of what's going on, no clue, what fasting or anything, and they're just making their opinions and comments based on nothing.
Yeah, and what's funny is I've always been thin. So I was even in my 90s when I was eating. Oh my gosh, and I out-ate a man. I ate so much food. And of course, I was posting all the parasites and the worms that were coming out of me, and it's no wonder.
Yeah, you released some nice stuff.
Yeah, I mean, something that looked like a snake, rubber. It was, yeah. And so really, I've always been thin, except for when I was on the drugs, and it was water weight. So I had a lot, super.
Yeah, water weight. Yeah, water weight and the stuff you've released. That's what the weight was made up of.
Yeah. So yeah, so and I feel great, but I just want to take a little bit of a break, and then ease my way back in. Which she made a good point, and I was thinking about that, doing like a hybrid. So yeah, that's where I
Yeah,
am.
some people are thriving on just living on the hybrid, right? They love that. Everybody has their own picks of how they want to go about. There's infinite possibilities that you can choose from.
My tip is to make it a lifestyle. So like, yeah, and also the dry fasting 24 hours. So when you do the hybrid, if you do the hybrid, incorporate 24 hours a week, you know, maybe once a month, go up to 36 like before, you know. You're eating, you're not going to lose too much weight because you're eating. It's not going to be a deep detox, but it's good enough to keep you feeling light. You know. The most important thing for me is to make it a lifestyle. So find your way to make it a lifestyle. Whether it's just doing 40 days once in a while and then eating clean in between, or doing something like Master Fast Hybrid to live on for a while, or something like Master Fast Weekly, where I, for example, I fasted 6 days a week and then I ate 1 day a week. Remember, I used to do that. I used to post about it, and that really, that's amazing. It almost feels like a complete Master Fast. But you have your break to eat and enjoy your food. So maybe on the weekends you eat with your partner, and then during the week you're fasting, going into a deeper cleansing. So find your way.
Yeah, it's very early. Just take your time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Some people do one week on, 1 week off, or 1 month on, 1 month off. I did that. And, she loved it. She did it for a while.
Yeah, I know that I'll find what works for me.
Of course.
Right now, yeah, a little bit of a break from the herbs, and I haven't had a break, so it's nice to see that I'm doing very well post Master Fast.
You're
You're
glowing.
doing amazing. You're doing amazing. It's not easy post Master Fast, and you're doing really well. Good job.
It's been just an incredible experience. I wouldn't trade it. Any of it, really.
Yeah, you're knocking everything off that, going for those goals and just keep striking out all the stuff that you want to leave behind and change. That's it. That's all we focus.
In a sense of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just the sense of balance since Master Fast, emotionally, wow. I have not felt this sense of balance.
It brings everything right to your face.
Yeah, you can, oh, wow, I can see much more clear.
It's amazing, Kelly. Amazing, amazing. So, what other challenges are you working on now that you haven't fully resolved?
As far as
physically, emotionally.
probably always working on something.
Yeah,
Physically. Well, I just I see myself, and visualization was big. That was introduced by the FSM practitioner, and I remember this really early on. She said, I'll never forget this. She said, visualize your feet. Grab pictures, mount them up on the wall. So I did.
Yeah.
I visualized my feet. I didn't know how I was going to get there then, obviously, because from this long, drawn out story, but I visualized that, and it's just So, yeah, right. Your thoughts, you're the creator.
Exactly.
You
Exactly. You know, you're, like I said, you're glowing, you're shining. Just stay focused and continue. You know what you're doing now. You know, you have the roadmap, and just it'll take several years for most people to find their way of, you know, finding more of a balance. And, you know, like I said, once you're involved and you've gone through, you tend to forget where you came from because you feel so much better. You don't want to remember, and we don't want to go back there. So we focus always continuing where we want to go. We drive and look where we want to go, and go that way, because we can overcome anything. Anything with the stories is what people have overcome is just incredible. You know, yours is huge achievements that you've overcome, and you know, just look at you. You're just glowing. You know, shining. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. What are we at? Oh, we're already at a couple hours. Wow. Anything else you want to share, or we can wrap it up?
Just thank you both, thank you all. It's a great group of people.
You're welcome. This is why we're here. We're inspiring each other, and you know, you're gonna have somebody listen to your story, and they're gonna connect with you. Everybody will connect with somebody differently, and you know, this is why we do this. This is why we share, and it's the giving back, the sharing your stories is giving back, and this allows, you know, as we say, the plasma to open up once you give. So it allows you to receive. Without the giving, nothing really happens. Creation all starts by giving. So all creation starts. You have to give, and it's.
And that's another thing that's been great with Master Fast is just me beginning this journey is finally I'm allowing instead of, you know, forcing, pushing on, pushing forward, and I'm allowing. You know,
Yeah.
for the first time in my life, I'm allowing.
Yeah.
Which was a challenge for me.
Yeah. I used to use the word push, and allowing is much better associated word that we can use. Fran was one that, you know, always mentions that. Allow, because this is really what we're trying to do. Um, Pushing, I don't know, it's a bit of a strong, but sometimes, you know, a little bit of a nudge we need, you know, get up and you're feeling, you know, you need to get that little bit of a nudge, and so we can allow ourselves to move and get the energy flowing.
Or maybe I should say I was forcing things.
Yeah, forcing, push, yeah.
I was forcing things that maybe didn't need to be forced, you
Right.
know, and it came from, you know, that inherent need to, you know, survival.
Yeah. The state of man in general's body in today's time, it's you know, far more toxic than any time in history probably. So this is the emphasis on, you know, washing and skin brushing. We're supporting and supporting and supporting to allow the body to do what it needs to do, because it's so overwhelmed with obstructions. It can't do it on its own. It's just too much. And we see what happens when, you know, what's happening out there. People aren't able to get through these things, and then they get on Master Fast, and things start opening up and flowing, because we're just assisting and allowing these things to take place. The obstructions are just overwhelming, then they take over, and it's a challenge, and it could come big surprises and healing reactions way beyond where we'll be comfortable. So The tools are very important. We have so many tools to choose from and to assist us. Our lovely herb friends and everything else. It's vital in this day and age to make that smooth transition into removing all these obstructions, which is the key to allowing the soul to do its work in this physical body. It's getting rid of those heavy matter obstructions. Once they start coming out, the magic starts happening magically. And we're going, wow, this is working and that's working. It's just magic.
Yeah, and for me, it was realizing that I am soul. You know, I am eternal soul,
Exactly.
and these are just stories.
Yeah.
That I'm experiencing. So
amazing, amazing, Kelly.
Yeah.
Beautiful shining light, and you're inspiring and have inspired and continue to inspire so many that will hear you out. You have so much. The people who have read it on the page, but we have the kind of different audience that watches YouTube that come through the page through that as well, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you're definitely a big inspiration to everybody with what you went through in life and where you are now. It's beautiful.
What's somebody here wrote here? Lisa, thank you, Kelly. You're an inspiration. Elaine, thank you, Kelly. I agree. You're an inspiration. I have come to this to help resolve foot issues as well, among other things. Wow. Yeah, there's so many challenges out there with all kinds of stuff. Even Scott had severe foot challenges as well. And if you listen to his story, yeah, guys, everything's possible. Believe in your soul. Don't believe in anything but your soul. We just give you the key and the vehicle to take you wherever you want to go. Wherever you want to go, you can go. You know, we don't have all the answers, but the vehicle runs well when you work it according to the operating manual. You go outside the operating manual, you're on your own. Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, I found that out.
It's the operating manual sound that works. Some of us will have more challenges than others, and that's okay because we're all different emotional levels, and that's all it comes back to is the emotions, which is the seed. So we do the best we can with the tools to get us through. Okay, guys, I guess we can round it up and call it a close. We passed the 2-hour mark. I don't like going much more than 2 hours, and unless we have some other stuff happening. But you've given us the whole deal here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Continue, you know, continue popping it on the page and inspiring people and helping others, and that's awesome. And we'll call it a night, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Your story's amazing.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's keep that plasma love flowing, guys, and we'll see you on the page, guys. All right, good night.
Love you. Good morning. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.